MotherLove Happy Hour, Season 8, Precious Mother Love. How are you? How you been? Man, it's been a minute. Ooh, it's been a minute. I don't know if anybody will get on here with me. I'm loving the fact that I am in the mindset of just get up and go and do what you need to do the way you need to do it. Guess who just retired? OMG, I said it out loud. I haven't really shared it with many people. I haven't shared it to say to people, hey, I retired. OMG. But I just came back from a vacay. My daughter, my family, we went on a vacay to Florida. It was like the resolution of the sabbatical. Last year, I started the sabbatical in April. Um, really, it started in February when I jumped into car or van or SUV camping. As a van camper, um, I started traveling, and only because of when someone phoned me or someone requested my services that I would move. So I went to locations from Philly to Florida, and that whole time was in uh, whew, in search of myself because I was working on myself while I was working on others or working with others or working with whatever they had going on. It coincided with things I needed to work on and turned out to be a beautiful year of working on self, bringing self out, bringing self to light. As I just retired last week, I am now able to move all the other distractions out of my line of sight. No longer do I have to look at the time related to anything other than what I am trying to move forward with. And so, in that case, I had to start getting used to, and I'm starting to begin more and more to get used to being me. What do I like? What do I want to do? Where am I going? And to tune into that, I had to do a lot of deep seeking of my own sensitivities. What moves me? What makes me feel like do I, all these distractions on these social media platforms send me in all kinds of directions. So I want to I've been tunnel visioning into my own super sensitive rabbit hole. Not necessarily into a hole, but that's a deep bag. That's a deep bag of tricks. I mean, from the age of 5, I've been super sensitive to the point where I didn't know at the time that they were ultra terrestrials, but I met ultra terrestrials and I went through multiple dimensions as an adult and as a child. And so being able to be super sensitive enough to sense, as like, okay, so schizophrenia or schizophrenic persons with schizophrenia have the ability to sense multiple dimensions. And so folks who are capable of doing that are sometimes not capable of recognizing when it's an external, when it's not them. But when they are, so the difference between psycho and psychic, you are a professional at being careful with your sensitivities, with your perceptions. You are capable of perceiving that it is other than the self that is that you're sensing. So psycho is they just let go. Psychic keeps up with it. So letting go is one way of allowing yourself to be open to what's going on. But then once you're recognizing that things are going on, things are being said, multiple places are in the same space at one time, in order for you to recognize which one you're in or how to be in any of them, you have got to be able to concentrate your divine energies into, like, you've got to be able to anchor to something, whether it's the wind blowing by your ear or a bird that starts tweeting that you recognize, oh, this is where I am now. It's just like that. Psycho and psychic. Those are the two ends of the spectrum in my mind. So being super sensitive and being that this is now a time to focus on myself, I've now got to become the overlord of my sensitivities, because there's so many signals and symptoms and so many things, signs that are coming and jumping out at me. I can pay more attention to these things now. I don't have to pay as much attention to the other things. And that's the most expensive real estate. But I need to pay attention to myself. And paying attention to myself is what I now have as the most important, the top priority now is to pay attention to myself. So all the little quirks and quips and giggles and kicks that, make me tick, that's what I'm paying attention to. What am I happiest about? What is making me the happiest? This is Heart Happy Hour. Heart Happy Hour started because I wanted to have a happy heart after my father passed. When my father passed, it was hard for me to be sensitive to anything. What was I going to be sensitive to? I was numbed up by grief. And so I had to go tend to the grief. I had to put that into a perspective and a place that, I'm now comfortable with. I'm now in a position where I talk to my elders and my ancestors all the time. I ride with them like they ride or die, you know? And so, in that case of me being so comfortable now at this place of perception, I also am able to perceive other things that are going on, things that are going on with the birds, things that are going on with the animals, things that are going on with the babies, things that are going on with the people around me. Man, I can hear, see, smell, taste. It's just a bunch of interpretations. It's a bunch of, I'm able to, it's like a sensory overload. It is, I'm being an overlord, but it's an overload to an extent until I learned how to multiplex, multitask, multidimensional tasking to be able to tap into my super sensitivities and still put some other little nagging, little distractive things to the side. So Love+Art equals wellness, guys. You've got to be able to love yourself so artistically into your wellness. You just don't know. That is a lifestyle. That is a way of being. That became a mantra. My business, Love+Art equals wellness, is now 8 years old. And yes, I have ate off of that business. It's now time to do something new. Something new's coming down the pike I'm about to tell you about in the next episode. Not today, because I'm still in the decision mode. I just retired last week. Last week, I was at work punching the clock. Now this week, the month of June, this is the same month that that Love+Art equals wellness was born 8 years ago. In the month of June, I believe the 1st of June, and this year, the 1st of June, I was retired. As of officially in that mindset of, yes, yes, yes. Who is this on here? Hey, Christian. Is it Christian Ba? Christian Ba. Oh, no, 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 no. I can't read it so good. I apologize. And you say, them? Where are you from? You're in Poland? Ooh, ashe, ashe. I am in the nation's capital, the United States national capital. And so I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out with me for a little bit and allowing me to expand on some of my super sensitive perceptions. Things, the filters are off now. The filters are no longer blinding our eyes. The rose-colored glasses, which are now blue, are no longer on if you put them there, it's on purpose, because the blinders should now be, at this point, you should be able to open your eyes, and if you choose to see, things are more visible than ever. Our vision, our line of sight, our capabilities, our my mind has been so blown by so many things so often recently, like in the past couple of years. Things have just begun to be outside the box. There are no boxes for me as much as possible. My boxes are being, I can't check any, I can check all the boxes or I can check none of the boxes. I can stand on the soapbox, but I'm not going to get in the box. Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. I am the light. I am deciding more and more who I am, how I am, what to do and why to do it. And so I'm doing more things, the right things for the right reasons, and they end up being at the right time. And so I'm just opening myself to the possibilities of there being more and more possibilities. Now, that does mean that there are a lot more decisions that are being made that are to choose from. And that's not always the best thing. That, to me, for me, it's not. It hasn't always been the best thing. But I think I'm changing my perspectives enough to recognize I am in choice mode every second of the day, and I choose more and more my happiness. And the way I choose my happiness is to love up on me. So what feels good for me is what we're going with, or what feels the best for me out of all the options. That's one way that I do it. And I feel better more of the time. I feel more closely aligned with my authentic self. And the more I'm authentic about myself, how I dress, how I sound, how I look, how I think, the things that I used to do, all these books that I've read, one of the first ones was Psycho-Cybernetics by, what's his name, Maxwell Maltz or something like that. That book, uh, Psycho-Cybernetics, allowed me to do some, I guess, almost like timeline switching, from this timeline to that timeline, where it is what I wanted to now be. So, but Maxwell Maltz, he dealt with people who, that switching of the timelines was something that he developed after he was a plastic surgeon. And so he found that there were people who he was removing their scars, making them beautiful. They were now their best selves, but they still felt like they were the old selves. Like when someone that's lost a lot of weight still feels fat. I look at some of my photos from my past, and I look like, wow, I thought I was fat at that time. I'm looking at that. I was not fat. I'm a lot bigger now. Shoot. But and I still have some, conscious thoughts about, the best way to eat and best activities. At this age, you have to stay very active. So, health-wise, I put myself first. I am have been a caregiver for so many years, for so many people, that it's now time to focus that attention on me, that most valuable real estate. If I stay the priority, if I can, while I am, what I will continue to focus on bringing the best of me to light. Now, I've got gifts, and those gifts are here helping me. What's his name? Hill, Napoleon Hill. He what he mentioned was to focus on, and put it into your subconscious. I'm sorry for stuttering so often, but I'm trying to gather the information from the catalog. But it is subconscious energy that counts the most, like what your heart emanates. Yeah, coming back from my vacay, The AC was the whole environmental change has affected me. And so, just some more of those things I'm realizing. So anyway, Napoleon Hill, did something very similar to what Maxwell Maltz did, which was to it- it's I say switch timelines, but it's basically taking something that is something and switching it to something else. Instead of saying um, thank you all the time, you say pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. That was something that I did when I read that book. That was one of the first little things, the first little shifts that I did for myself so that I could realize what was it that, like, that was a trigger for me. That pardon me triggered me to be on the other timeline. That was my switch word. I switched from this to that. And the more I did it, the more I was capable of just switching out all the other things that came with that same energy, that same attitude, that same way of perception, that shifting, that paradigm shift. So anyway, Love+Art equals wellness family. Precious Mother Love here, Heart Happy Hour Season 8. We're about to wrap up Season 8 because we started it this time last year. And once we got to Stone Mountain, after the sabbatical, we have not talked about it as much as we have wanted to. We started it on the 33rd parallel for my daughter's 33rd birthday, and I followed that parallel, that perspective, that paradigm, the same energy that comes from the numbers through the rest of the journey, which just I thought I had ended it when I came back from Stone Mountain. No, it continued integrating into the place of until when I returned to Florida. I just got back from Florida the day before yesterday. And I was there on the way, and on the way back was about a week. Or about a strong. A lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to integrate over this past year well, it's almost a year for the Stone Mountain hike or mountain climb or what was that? Um, Summit. The gathering of the tribe, the village. It was a beautiful coming together. It's as though we all lit up the grid ourselves, taking our lights back to our locations. We've elevated. I've seen a lot of the folks that since then have taken their energies, compacted it. What do you call it? Compounded the interest. It has just taken off to new levels. And I feel as though I'm in that group. I just haven't been as vocal about it. I'm going to get back to that. But right now, I'm still working on self. And I don't apologize for that. And I thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you. Again, One Love and Wellness, Heart Happy Hour, Season 8. No music this time. I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, share the love.